Hello, lovely beings. I have got a treat for you all today. I have the most accomplished producer, director, writer, published author, paranormal investigator, and dear friend of mine, Mr. Tim Sudano, with me today.
Hello, JJ. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited you are here today. I have to give a special thank you to Erick from the podcast. I had the pleasure of talking with him last week, and please subscribe to his podcast because I just might end up on it one of these days. Hint, hint. But he and I were chatting, and I was talking about all my time working with Tim in our paranormal investigative group. And he kind of brought up a good point about there are a ton of paranormal investigators out there who aren't working with a psychic or a cleaner, and just how important that is, and the reasons for it. And so it led to this beautiful conversation between Tim and I just wanted to have him on today to kind of discuss the need for it and the why and all sorts of fun stuff that Tim and I have done together over the years, and just give you an all-around view of why. So Tim, why don't you start out telling a little bit about paranormal investigating and what you did before I Kool-Aid Man into your life?
It wasn't that bad. Okay, so it started out with my good friend and yours, Henry Wiazowski. May he rest in peace.
Amen.
He left us in 2020 because of health complications. But he and I started things in 2009 initially, and we did 2 cases in a year. It was just we could only do that, but these cases just came to us, right? And on the very first case we did together, we caught our first EVP.
Nice.
It was amazing. We were so excited. Oh yeah, we actually got something. We don't know what it is. It's amazing. It was just he and I was the I want to believe kind of guy, like Mulder, but then Henry was the diehard skeptic, so the Scully, I guess, to my Mulder, if you will. And we went on like that for a few years, and then we brought on a couple of different young ladies one of whom was more psychic than the others. And that was the first time we ever worked with a psychic, and things went wrong.
This is why we're recording this, ladies and gents.
Yes, indeed. So it wasn't an absolute disaster at all. We got probably the most evidence we've ever gotten on the case.
Nice.
We had a full-body apparition show up on camera. We had an orb fly through me. We also had a dog dish park itself dead center of this kitchen. It was up against the wall, and you heard it go because it was full of food, right? Across the room into the middle of the kitchen. I mean, dead center. You can measure it out. It was amazing. We had phantoms run down the hallway. I saw one with my own eyes, but it did not show up on infrared camera, which was interesting. It ran like a chimpanzee, but it was no chimpanzee. This thing was disgusting looking. It was something straight out of hell. Oh yeah, good times. And that was the last time we worked with those young ladies.
I can see why.
Yes. Fortunately, we were able to solve the issue, and that was the first time we were able to do it as a investigative group. And I hit upon the fact that they were either Christian or Catholic. They had crosses in every room. However, along the middle of the hallway and into the kitchen partially, where the bulk of the activity transitioned between the kitchen and the back of the house, they had these paper lanterns that were 5-point stars. And inside the surface were other 5-point stars, like cutouts, you know? Mm-hmm. And I hit upon the notion that that's a pagan iconography versus the Christian iconography. there's a conflict here. So I said, let's experiment. And so I told her to take down all these stars. You stow them in the attic. You don't have to throw them away. You don't have to burn them. Nothing like that. Put them away. I came back 2 or 3 days later, and the house felt so much better. And they hadn't had an experience since they did it.
Well, and that's a true life example of where you're sensitive. And I mean, I believe everyone's a little bit psychic, to varying degrees of what their talents are. But you and I have talked many times about the fact that you are a sensitive. You do kind of intuitively know certain things. And that's a perfect example where it kind of dawned on you because you didn't have a formal psychic telling you what the issue was or what to get rid of or how to clear it or cleanse it.
Well, we didn't have that option either. I mean, these girls were just seeing stuff. Or the one girl more than anything. But, I mean, she didn't know what to do with it. She couldn't clean or cleanse or anything like that. So, that's kind of when we hit upon the idea, oh man, we need a cleaner. And we lingered on it. We let it drift. We broke off from those ladies. It was just he and I again. And then a case came not too far from where I live. Pardon me. That's where this family was experiencing poltergeist activity, accompanied with a shadowy, menacing figure that roamed the house and specifically targeted this young family, which included a little girl, about 3 or 4.
So, if I remember correctly, that was the case you guys had done, and they wanted help clearing it, and you had referred them to the church.
Here's what happened. The church had already been there, unbeknownst to me. The mother who owned the house called in the priest, the local priest, come and bless my house, something evil is there. That was kind of against the wishes of the son. So there was already kind of a spiritual conflict happening there. Father came in, did his thing about a week before I got there. And nothing, it actually ramped up. It pissed, whatever was there got more and more angry.
Yeah, which can happen if it's not done right.
Exactly. So they didn't have a proper exorcist or cleaner from the church there to do it, just some priest of the local parish. He brings me in. He says, what can you do to help me? I said, well, I can investigate. I'm looking for a cleaner right now, but I don't have anyone. And then...
So, meanwhile, in my life... I was, during spooky season, watching these shows called A Haunting. And they're all, just normal families and regular people who have had these experiences. And I'm watching them while I'm cooking. And one after the other were just being left out to dry. At the end, these paranormal people would come in and they'd investigate. And they'd basically run out screaming and would completely leave them in the lurch. And... it's a Sunday. I don't do very much on Sundays other than kind of cook, clean, and rest, right? And I have a really strict code, like Sunday, no calls until 11 a.m. and no calls after 7 p.m., like just hard stop, right? And so it is now 9:30 on a Sunday night, and I have seen like probably 8 of these episodes back to back, and I'm screaming at the TV, and I said, that's it. So I pick up the internet and start looking at paranormal investigators in my area, and there were 5 at the time. And immediately I said, spirit guide me, and it was nope. And then I found Tim's and decided to call him, completely against my normal values of calling at 9:30 on a Sunday night. And he answers the phone on the first ring, and I said, hi, I am an energy cleaner, and I want to be your energy and entity cleaner and psychic.
And I said, awesome, I've been looking for someone. Did you answer the ad on whatever it was? And he said, no.
I had no clue you had an ad.
Right, exactly.
To begin with.
I said, that's even better.
Exactly.
And by the way, normally I don't answer calls at 9:30 anyway. I mean, if you're a paranormal investigator, sometimes you gotta, if it comes in on the hotline.
Yeah, but on a Sunday night.
At Sunday night, typically it doesn't. But nonetheless, I'm thrilled I answered that call. So, she's ready to rock. I called this other person with the dark entity in their house. Dead silence, no return calls. I multiple attempts, nothing's happening. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, so I call you back. I say, okay, your own referral, man. I got you if we need something. And about 2 weeks later, I think, we get another case.
Yeah. That definitely took a turn for the crazy, and we won't go too much into that one here because that is a very long episode of its own.
Probably.
But what was so important was I did not realize that I personally don't watch paranormal investigative shows. I steer kind of clear of them because the few that I've watched, kind of gone in and out of, I see them yelling and antagonizing things, and it goes completely against everything that I'm about, and it gets very scary and irritating for me, so I have to just clip it for myself. So in this instance, I'm almost expecting that. So when we met before, I kind of set the ground rules and said, okay, you guys go in first, you do your investigation, then you tell me when to come in, but when you put me in, A, you need to follow me, and B, like the bomb squad, if you see me running, you need to follow me.
Yes.
And you also need to take my instructions, because if I'm the one seeing all the stuffs, right, then, just like I follow you for the first part of the investigation, the second part, which you're leading me through, and it's really important. And the really awesome thing, and I think why Tim is such an important friend and dear person in my life, is from day one, we had this trust.
Yes.
And we had more than just trust of like, okay, yeah, I trust you. You're going to look out for me. I'll look out for you. It was deeper than that. It was, I knew with every fiber of my being, I was safe in the situation, that he would do everything he could to keep me safe, and vice versa. He knew Mama Wolf would do everything she could.
Good way to put that.
Yes, to keep you safe. And there was a immediate trust. And between, you, Henry, and I, we just had this wonderful friendship bond. And I feel like that alone put us not only in a really positive position, but also made us so much stronger, because we could actually, call each other out on whatever and have frank conversations that needed to be had, but we trusted each other.
Yes.
So, Tim, obviously, because you did investigations before me, I would like it if you would share physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what it felt like to do an investigation before a psychic cleaner and with a psychic cleaner.
Oh, okay. Night and day is what it felt like. That's it. No, I'm teasing you. When it was just Henry and myself, it was basically, as you said, I'm a little more open. I'm a little more sensitive than most. So it was me kind of leading the charge. Like, I'd say, I think something's going on over there. Henry, go check it out. Because he had his gear, I had mine. And so I let him do his cursory scientific stuff. I go in with my tech as well. And I just kind of suss things out. And usually we would arrive at roughly the same conclusion. Yes, you have this going on. Or no, we think it's your pipes. Usually it was one or the other. And we'd always get the question, well, what can we do about it? I don't know. Was the big answer. It was always frustrating for the client. I was like, what you can do is set ground rules. It's like, this is what's happening. Treat it like a child if you have to. Yes. Well, that was basically the method of the day, I have to say.
I understand. I understand.
And now I know far better. So that we did that on the first few investigations. And then when we had need of a cleaner and someone to help us out, and we had an opportunity to test you on that first case, my God, did you school us on so many things. I think you gave us a blessing the first time. You gave us a protection. And I certainly felt it. I know Henry felt something too. It's when you actually did the cleansing, because this thing was diabolical, folks, that was bugging these college kids.
Yeah.
It was straight up evil. And she comes to me. We take a little sidebar in the investigation, and she says, okay, it's definitely got to go. How do you want to do this? I said, well, I say nuke it. I don't want to ever come back here again. And she says, okay. And she says, give me 5 minutes. You can't record me on this part. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But so we sit in the living room. We're saying, okay, she's going to do her thing. She's going to get rid of this for you. We're trying to reassure these kids. Some of them are crying already. And then you feel it. It's this concussive wave, but more on a spiritual sense. It's like if you've ever been to a reenactment at the Civil War or something, where they fire off those cannons, you feel that bam in your chest. It's like that without the explosion. So you feel this wave, and we all felt it, including the super skeptic Henry. And the air lifted. It was, these guys had their AC cranked to deep freeze, all the windows open, but they couldn't cool the house down past 90 degrees. Suddenly, everything worked. It was almost too cold there when we left. And it was an amazing sensation, and that's when I knew, oh gosh, you should have been here from the beginning. I should have tried to find someone like her. So
everything happens in its due time.
I suppose so, but at the same time, we did leave clients in a kind of a middle ground, a limbo, if you will.
In a little bit of a lurch. And
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to, I've seen this so often in different shows and different people telling their experiences on different TV shows that I was watching at the time. And I would feel so awful because, you know, the end of the episode is always this poor family's underwater in this house. They can't sell it. They've got kids. They're stuck in the neighborhood. They're stuck in this, you know, infested home with whatever it is, and it's only getting worse. And now they have to just live with it, and even worse, now they have it on film or know what it is. And, you know, to me, that's not doing the full job. Now, I know that there are psychics, I know there are mediums out there who will not do clearings. They can see it, they can tell you what it is, but they don't clear, they don't want to mess with it, and that's fine. But part of why I'm taking the time out of my life to do these episodes is to educate everyone out there on what can be done and the importance of having those resources. If you're a paranormal investigator and you don't have a psychic, you don't have a cleaner near you, you know, feel free, email me. I have a great referral network. If I can help out in any way, which I do remote work, and Tim well knows, because anytime he gets a call for an investigation, he will call me and say, I got a call, what do you think? And no information, and I will tell him yay or nay. And there have been times where I've told you no.
Yep.
With the gas leak one in particular.
Right.
And he was so excited because it was around the corner from his house, so he could have been there in like 2 minutes, and was so excited. And I said, there's no need, don't even waste your gas, because they have a gas leak. And told him where I was seeing it, and the people literally went outside and looked over their fence and like, oh yeah, you know, whatever the gas company is here, and you know, they're digging up stuff. I'm like, yeah. So get out of the house like a normal person and let the gas dispense, and you'll be better.
Right. And they were having, I mean, it was getting to the point where they were having hallucinations.
Yes.
It was bad.
Yeah, but that was one where I had zero information and just told you no. And so,
And you saved their lives.
maybe, I don't know,
I
hopefully.
like to think so.
All right, well, that's very kind, but I'm humble enough to think hopefully someone would have knocked on their door, but, you know, I don't know anymore with utilities. So, when I come in, what I do is I cleanse the team. I then bubble up, as in one of my previous episodes about spiritual protection, I talk about bubble up buttercup. So I bubble everyone up. And the thing I also do that's a wee bit different is I tether myself to you in the team.
That's an interesting sensation, by the way.
It is. So basically, I am tethered into each person on my team, which is weird for me because I'm also feeling multiple people at the same time, and everything that's going on in your bodies and your minds. But while they go in and they investigate, and I'm outside and I quote unquote psychically bind myself, right? I put a blindfold on, no peeking, but I am experiencing what they're investigating through them first, just through the sensations I'm getting from them. If they're scared, or if they're alarmed, or if they're upset. And I also do that to make sure that you guys aren't being attacked when you're going in. Because of course, you know, whatever it is in there, if it's doesn't like me, it's going to go after you guys first, right? And then when I'm up, that's usually when I go in and I'm still tethered to you the entire time, and I stay tethered until we are done at the very end. We have gotten the permission, yay or nay, to cleanse or clear. We have been told no before.
Which is weird, but yes.
Very weird, and I'm not going to talk anybody into something they don't want to do. That's between them.
Right.
But in that situation, I will then wait until the team is away from the location, and then I will clear again, and then I untether. Yeah. So that I'm not going home feeling multiple people in my own body.
Dancing around in your head.
Yeah. I literally have been carrying like ibuprofen and allergy pills like, hey, you need this, you need that. So it's fun. But the reason I bring that up, and I'm not asking other psychics for other paranormal investigators, I'm not shaming anyone. I'm merely saying the importance of doing it is to protect your team, because especially a lot of people out there who are doing this kind of, you know, you're not professional, you're doing this on your own to go have fun and go see what you can get, and there's tons of you doing this stuff and getting great stuff. But I've also heard on different podcasts the afterbirth, if you will,
the afterbirth, the aftermath,
which is, you know, okay, we got a great EVP in a cemetery, but, you know, a week or two later, everyone's morbidly depressed for absolutely no reason and having weird thoughts, and, you know, friends are having fights or couples are having issues, and they know it's all because they picked something up
that followed them home. Yeah,
exactly. So if we could avoid hitchhikers, that would be awesome.
That'd be
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Speaking to that further, it's happened not to me, or it didn't happen to Henry, but it happened to a couple of friends who were also paranormal investigators, and they had stuff happen to them. It came home with them, like similar to what you just discussed. They went to a location, some open location, I think, maybe a graveyard, I can't recall, but they caught something, like something was flying around the field, and it was amorphous, it was weird, and they were so thrilled they caught something paranormal, but it followed them home. It, like, hitched a ride. So Hitchhikers, we do, yes. Live people, maybe that's okay. Dead people, no. Bad move.
Yeah.
Bad move. So, I mean, having a psychic and cleaner and someone who can protect you on your team, I think is, if you can find the right person, or get the right person to help you out, even remotely, such as JJ, make use of them.
And to speak on that, I'm not trying to tout myself here. I don't do this for a living, right? This is definitely something I do voluntarily and to help. But this again goes to why I have these YouTube videos that I've put out about spiritual protection, and to educate people so you can do it for yourself. And there are simple ways that you can do it for yourself. Obviously, if you got yourself in a really bad jam and it's something like way over your pay grade, you know, that's when you seek out a professional, someone who, you know, can handle it. There's been times when even I've had to call in reinforcements for things, because there are a lot and I can handle a lot, but there are times when even I need backup,
right.
You know, because energetically you can get drained. And hitchhikers, whether they are, you know, ghosts, i.e. dead humans, or other oogly boogly little things, they siphon your energy.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that everyone's been talking about the past 6 months, it's how expensive gas is. And I'm sorry, I don't have the energy to be siphoned off for something that I don't know about. Okay, I don't want to be preachy on here, sorry, but I'm very passionate about how I feel, and I I absolutely despise seeing people in situations that they don't need to be in. And I think
I couldn't agree more.
That's my mama wolf part. I know I'm super overprotective, but it's because I love and I care and I want everyone to be well. So let's take a little bit of a right turn and let's talk about what we tried to do last year. Tim is going to be happily annoyed right now.
Happily annoyed,
this.
yes. Good way to put it.
So as a reminder, Tim, he writes, he directs, he produces, he's an actor, he's done all of this stuff. He works with film equipment, he works with audio equipment, he hates the little computer that I use for recording my stuff because he has top-notch stuff and he's awesome at what he does. And for me, he's a wonderful resource as well because there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, right? So once in a while I'll see a video or hear something and I'll send it to him and be like, hey, what do you think? And he's like, oh, this is CGI, or look right here, you could see what they did, as a hoax. And there have been legitimate things where he's like, hey, you need to watch this documentary or you need to watch the show because he legit knows how this stuff works. I don't do this for a living. That being said, last year we got the brilliant idea.
I clap at that statement. Go ahead.
Brilliant idea that Tim and I were going to sit down and we were going to film ourselves having conversations like we're having now, but on a ton of different topics, cases we've been on together, and just a whole bunch of fun stuff. And we spent tons of time sitting down, talking, brainstorming, coming up with so
Logos,
much information,
songs, background music.
Yes, I mean
everything. The whole production scheme.
Yeah, between the work he put into it, between the work I had into it, we had shirts made. It was a thing. Yep. It was adorable. So obviously, I'm not an actress, right? I know how to do hair and makeup. So that was a fun, 2.5, 3 hour adventure on myself.
And the time you made me, you lived 15 years younger, but I hated it.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
So we decide we're going to get together and we're going to do 5 different days where we're going to film.
Right.
Okay, lugging all the equipment and setting it up alone. Again, I don't do this. I'm thinking 2 cameras. It's so easy, right? No, it was not. It was 3 hours of setup.
Yep.
And of course, we decided to do it dead summer when it's hotter than Hades outside.
No matter how high the AC was.
It was never enough. There was not enough
water. Yeah, we were
water.
dripping buckets by the time we're finally sitting down. And
yeah.
So we had to wait another hour.
Exactly, just to cool down. So at this point, okay, I look brilliant, Tim looks brilliant. We sit down, we get all staged up, and we have a PA with us. So again, this PA does all of these same things that Tim does for a living.
Yep.
They get paid for it. This is their day job. They are professionals. So the reason I bring this up is because we get done with our first 12-hour day. We are filming and talking for 12 hours, looking fabulous, I might add.
Yes.
Okay. So during the filming and during the taping, we have 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 audio recorders going. We are checking them during.
Yeah.
We have 3 cameras going.
Yep.
Okay? Constantly being monitored and checked the entire time. Battery levels, what's going on, all the directions, all the good stuff. Tim's yelling at me because I don't know how to look into a camera. I keep randomly looking at corners and people, and it was so much fun for him, I'm sure. So,
it was a very small thing. She actually caught on pretty damn quick, I have to say.
All right, well, thank you. I felt like they're all gonna laugh at you.
That first day, you're looking at the plants and stuff. It's like, what's that going on? You're very distracted.
I was. I'm used to talking to people, not to a camera. So, mind you, while we're doing this because of the content that we're discussing, I also have to spiritually bubble and protect the location and everyone on it, as well as make sure that I'm not energetically interfering with too much of the camera equipment. Right. But because of a lot of the content we were talking about at the time, things definitely were attracted So I'm having to fend things off while we're literally taping.
Yeah,
and
well, there were a number of pauses, if you recall.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Tim, wait, I got to do something with that. It's like, you're kidding me again? It's like,
Yeah.
Get him out of here. What's going on?
Yeah, well.
But yeah, we were assaulted spiritually almost constantly.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
And there were lots of creaks and groans and homes.
Oh, the birds hitting the window that one time?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was crazy.
Yeah. But I digress. So we get done with all of this, and, I'm super excited with what we've done. Definitely a long day. Everyone heads home after 3.5 hours of breakdown time in order to break all the equipment down and leave.
12-hour day, just to reinforce that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So 15 hours later, Tim gets home, and he's excited, right? Like, he's jazzed. Right. So he plugs in one of the audio devices.
Here's what happens.
I'll let him tell the story.
Yeah. Here's what happens. So I get home, I jack everything into my editing machine. I'm ready to rock and roll. I start listening to the camera sound. So in the business, that's called wild sound. But we also have body mics we're using, lavaliers, and that's where our main sound's coming from for our voices. Nothing on the lavaliers. Never mind, we had checked them and rechecked them and tested them and retested them. They're blank. Nothing. And the sound on the camera is so tinny and horrible. It's technically usable, but I can't clean it up past a certain point. So, the episode that we worked so damn hard on
was trash.
Is trash. It's total garbage. We can't use it. We are forced to reshoot.
Okay, so at this point, Tim is annoyed, but he has not checked the cameras yet. He decides to get some sleep, right? Been a long day. Mm-hmm. So in the morning, he decides to check the camera. And remind you, we had 3 cameras, one in the middle and one on both of us individually. So the one in the middle somehow moved, and only Tim is in it. The one on me somehow only has the top of my hair.
Yeah.
But Tim looked great in it.
My close-up was amazing.
Yeah, you looked fantastic, but you were the only one who recorded. So then we go...
Oh, yeah, that's right. One of the cameras did not record.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So then we decide, you know what, we're gluttons for punishment. Like, let's try it again. What could go wrong?
Exactly. Different location this time.
Different location. Let's see if we can, make this a little easier. So we try it again. Same. It's going to be a 15-hour day. We already know. So everything's set up. We get there. Now we have 2 PAs. And we are working, right? Yeah. But they are testing consistently. We are testing in between the episodes. We would pause in order to test everything and play it back.
Right.
They're playing back the audio. It's coming out clear. Everything's fine.
Oh, good.
And then we're testing the cameras. Everything's fine. And then something starts to attack the house and runs over the roof of the house in the room that we were in. And it was so loud that we had to stop everything.
Right.
And we thought it was an earthquake.
Right.
Okay. So we stop. I immediately go running out of the house into the heat. Great for makeup, by the way. And in order to chase this thing off, and then I have to reset, rebubble, clear the whole thing. And then we all go back into the house and we start retaping again. And it was at this point that as they go back to check the audio and the video, that, mind you, we had checked just 15 minutes before, everything's gone. It's wiped.
Totally.
So as the PA has a midlife crisis and a meltdown in the same moment, and Tim at this point is, questioning all of his day choices. And I'm saying, I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yes.
I mean, to have the equipment, because it functions, I've had this equipment for a little bit. I've been using it.
Again, he does this for a living.
Right.
He's never, and I've been on other things that you've shot.
You've been on some of my projects, yeah.
As, just someone in the background, I'm not on camera, and nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I've seen your work. You do amazing work.
Why, thank you.
And so I know you're quite capable, and the PAs are, they have beautiful resumes as well. So they're quite capable as well. So everyone knows what they're doing except for me. But I know spiritually what I'm doing.
I mean, the amount of equipment failures on that day
was massive.
It beat the day before, the time before, rather.
Because we decided to do even more cameras and audios this time, just as a backup of a backup.
We did the 3 cameras. I think we had a still going too, right? And then we had the green screen for the first time.
Yes. And
the lights and all that.
So after the second day of everything becoming unusable, why not? Third time's the charm. It's totally going to work this time.
Again, we switched locations.
So we switched locations again to a location that was much more comfortable for me. Right. I already have protection set up there. It's definitely going to be a little bit easier on me, and hopefully less stuff will, ignore the spotlight we're putting up. So at this point, something got rushed that day.
Yeah.
And I forgot to wear foundation, which is a type of makeup for people who don't know. It is basically a liquid makeup that goes over your skin to make you look nice and pretty in all one color. The reason I bring this up is because I do have an actual weird thing that Tim has seen multiple times, that my skin refracts light.
Yeah, it's hyper translucent is what the makeup people call it.
Yeah. So the way you visually see me is not the actual color makeup I use.
Right.
I have gotten in fights when I'm trying to actually buy makeup at counters before because people are thinking I'm, you shouldn't be that color. That's rude. And I'm like, I'm wearing it right now. It's a thing. I don't know how to explain
It's an amazing, it really is amazing. You truly have to see it to believe it.
It's weird. One of these days I'll show myself.
We'll make that happen one of these days.
So I had forgotten to wear foundation this day.
There was a technical snafu to that too, but keep going.
Okay. So completely blanking, I go ahead and just do my powder, whatever, and I sit down in front of the camera, and they get Tim first. Tim looks fantastic, right? Everything's fine. The camera gets on me, and I am a white orb with 2 black dots for pupils.
And then we adjust the white balance on her camera, and she goes orange or yellow or something.
I turned green.
Oh, was that it?
Yes.
I knew you turned like a weird color on camera.
Yes, it was delightful.
It was really fun. No, it wasn't. That's a lie. It was. Now there was another thing that was happening for us too that our PA and I discovered after the fact. I don't know if you knew about this, but we went with a black background that day.
Yes.
There's 2 sides of that black background. There's the lovely matte side you're supposed to use, and the other side is actually kind of shiny. Mm-hmm. So it fouled up the white balance on all the cameras.
Which I understand, and that's technical and that's valid. I mean, and actual issues do happen. And then they turned it around and the same thing kept happening.
Yes.
Where I was not a normal color of a human.
No, that's when you turned orange. Isn't it?
No, that's when I had the weird...
or purple, I'm sure.
It was like purple.
It was purple, okay.
Yeah. And I don't wear purple makeup.
No, she doesn't. She looked almost like Grimace. It was really bizarre.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, and again, the camera on me... It's literally, we took your camera, turned it to me as a balance check. I came out fine.
Yeah.
Turned it back to her. Weird. It's like a kaleidoscope of color. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Really was. And so at this point, Tim is kind of fit to be tied with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we kind of sit down and decide, okay, let's kind of take a breather on this. And I went into prayer and meditation and started asking, like, why is this getting all messed up? And we put in, at least a good 12 days total into this entire process, and money and time and all of it for everyone involved. So we decided to take a breather. And so what I had got and I had received was that I was not supposed to be on camera, which is why the cameras look great on you, but nothing got me.
I swear that was exactly what happened. Not that she didn't look good. It went haywire when it was put on her. It
made no sense.
It made 0 sense whatsoever. I mean, I've never seen a camera behave like that in my life. I've been around dozens of them.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But man,
yeah. But hey, you got some on the ground evidence of weirdness, so there you go.
Yeah.
Someday we'll be able to
Watch this.
leak
Me,
some of that out.
JJ.
Yeah.
Me, JJ.
Very weird. So I had basically received the understanding that I was supposed to do this with voice only, not me showing my face. So I venture on this project of, okay, let's just do audio only. And then life got crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it went between, you having some personal stuff in your life going on that prevented you and I from being able to get together and do audio only.
Right.
And then all of a sudden my life went haywire and I had a whole bunch of stuff. And so in between these stuffs where I would have these breaks and be like, okay, you know what? Just going to grab a microphone and I'll start recording myself, I would lose my voice. And it was unexplainable to the point that I saw 3 different doctors about it. And the doctors all said, there's nothing wrong with you. I don't understand why your voice is gone. My voice would just be gone. Like total laryngitis, but no virus, no fever, no nothing.
Crazy.
And the minute I would put recording things out of my head, all of a sudden my voice would work again, which was weird to say the least. So I basically tabled it and said, Spirit's going to tell me when. Well, Spirit told me when. And I had a day where I was going to be pretty much alone for like 3 hours. And at this point, Tim and I kind of discussed I was pretty much going to do these on my own. He and I will link up when we can, when life's not as crazy for him. And so I sit down and I'm trying to record this. Now, again, I'm not an actress. I don't do any of this stuff for a living. So sitting, talking to myself in a microphone was very weird. I would talk into the microphone. Tim can attest to this because he had to be my technical advisor. I would speak into it and it sounded like I was whispering. And I am up in the microphone. Like right now, I am so close to it, I could... There you go. I'm that close. So what, and I'm going through all of this and I'm thinking, whatever, just record. And so I'm trying to record my intro because I feel like people should know why I have any business discussing any of this. And I think I went through 27 times.
Wow.
Where how hard is it to talk about yourself if there's anyone you know, right? Hopefully you know yourself. And so finally I stopped and I prayed and I said, what's going on? And I got the words, do your job and do what you know first. So in this span of 3 hours that I was supposed to be alone, I start recording. And episode after episode after episode. And all of a sudden, I get done with the last one, and I realize it's dark outside. 3 hours, it should still be light outside. And I realize it's actually been 8 hours.
You've just been going. You went on
I went 8 hours straight. Well, also now I'm worried, where's my husband? So call him and find out he had been messaging me the entire time that he ended up getting waylaid at a whole thing ended up happening for him. Not bad, but that was completely unexpected that he said, I'm sorry, but letting you know. So it freed up all this free time for me to do this. And during that whole situation, right at the end, right? So right at the end, I hear, okay, I've got another hour. I finished the last episode, and right at the end, I say, okay, let me see if I can do the intro. And it completely flowed.
Nice.
And that's when I knew I've done what I'm supposed to do. And it was this total completion for me. And thank Spirit, thank all the help of my spiritual team that is there to help me. And I had to re-listen to some episodes because I had absolutely no clue what I said in most of them. But the very next day, I had a walk planned with a friend of mine. And we were going to do about 5 miles, right? And as I've stated probably before, crow and wolf are my spirit animals. And I love all animals, but crows to me are very, very dear.
Yeah.
And so we're taking this walk, and I see something on the ground, and I look down, and it's a baby crow on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's not doing well. It's obvious. It's hungry. It's thirsty. It's all alone. I do the calling for the parents. I do all the things you're supposed to do because I'm smart and I research birds way too much. You know that about me now. And so I end up giving it some water, and I call my husband and I say, "Can you pick us up from the trail? Like, I just found a baby crow. Situation's critical. We need to take care of this." And he's always laughing at my weird excursions that I'm having him do. And I got to take care and cuddle a baby crow for a couple hours before we took it to a sanctuary. I fed it. I got to give it water. This baby crow cuddled with me.
Aw.
And baby crows have blue eyes. So it was just absolutely adorable.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. They're amazing.
I really felt like that was Spirit's reward for me of doing what I needed to do. Like, okay, finally you completed it the way that, you didn't buck the system, right? And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought that was a really awesome story. So ending with that, in the meantime, as I had mentioned, Tim has been very busy the last year, and in years previous, working on something that I am a huge fan of, and that is his book, T.O.L. And I will have the link in the description. You can get it on Amazon. Books 1 and 2 are available. He is working currently on book 3, and I am pressuring him to release it because I need to know what happens next. But if you like sci-fi and you like cryptids and you like all different creatures all over the map, it's a really fun book that blends all those together. It's a little bit of supernatural meets Star Trek. But even like modern day, I don't know. It's so much fun. I love it. I really wish you'd just let me read what you have for book 3 right now, but that's fine. I'll be patient. I'll wait.
Please do.
All right, fine. But that being said, Tim and I are still doing paranormal investigating.
Yes, we are.
And in our area, when we started, there were 5.
5 groups.
And now there are none but us.
We are the only group in about, I'd say,
150 miles?
give or take, yeah. There's probably 1 or 2 in there, but no. Everyone else just stopped.
Which is kind of weird. So I do have an episode where I talk about what happened in 2016, and in that, it's kind of short, but it's interesting, and it kind of talks about how we went through this weird dry spell on the West Coast, and how, we both know other teams as well all over, and we were reaching out to them, and they had nothing. Like,
0.
Everyone on the West Coast pretty much dried up, but you were telling me that the Midwest
was lit.
Yeah, just popped off.
Yeah, from the tip of Illinois, kind of across the top of that central part of the U.S.
Okay.
And then down. It's like everything in that belt was lit up.
And it's interesting because with the times that we live in, spiritual protection, fortification is imperative, but especially for that part of the world because they have a lot more history than we have out here on the West Coast.
True enough. We have history out here, but it's different. It's not as populous as far as dead people go. It's not as populous. I mean, the Native Americans were here. I mean, that was a smattering of people. It wasn't like they had billions living here.
Yeah. I mean, unless we go way back to, Aztecs and Mayans and...
But even then, it wasn't that populous, and they kind of came up almost through the center of the U.S. They spread out a little bit, but...
That's true, actually. That's true. Yeah. So, the reason I'm saying this is because, obviously, in some of my other episodes, I have mentioned different podcasts that I listen to. So, I got a little curious when Tim and I were talking about this again for today. And, okay, being real, I've only listened to 5 podcasts before. I got into the podcast stuff a little bit late. So, but all the podcasts I listen to, and the majority of their listeners who are submitting in different stories, are all from the Midwest to South area.
Yeah, pretty much the middle part of the U.S. Yeah,
which completely lines up with what you were telling me when we kind of went a wee bit dry. So I don't know why I'm telling you this information, but have fun with that. So going back to T.O.L., which is Tim's book.
Yeah. T.O.L., for those who don't know, stands for the Trident of Light. And it follows John Lantry, who's a homicide detective by day, a monster hunter by night, and he hunts for this global organization called the Trident of Light, the T.O.L. And he's been alone for a while, doing it solo. I mean, he's a legacy hunter. His parents did it for him, and grandparents, and on back, all the way back to the days of Sheba, almost when the T.O.L. was formed. But he's been a loner. He's had some major tragedy in his life. He just wasn't ready to take on a team, and then he meets Emily Grayley. Really not the hunter type, at least what you expect to be the hunter type. She was a model. I mean, this skinny little blonde thing, right? But she catches him beating the living crap of and killing a monster called a Noxea. And that's German for ghoul, basically.
Nice.
And he says, yeah, that's the... He digs into her past a little bit more. Turns out she's a military brat. Her dad was a SOCOM officer. So she knows all this hand-to-hand combat stuff. Knife play, all gunplay. Knows her stuff. Just doesn't look like it. And that's brilliant. You always want to be able to lure in the monsters and then sucker punch them, right? So he's thrilled about that. They go on a few adventures together. They encounter a Balinese Layak, which is a horrible creature. It's actually based in South Pacific mythology. Actually, that particular creature has different names throughout the entire Orient, Japan, from the north tip of China all the way down, including Japan, and go by different names. But in Balinese, it's Layak. And basically, it's this female-looking monster, but the head and the upper organs of this thing separate from the body and fly around, and they chase down pregnant women and try and suck their fetuses out.
So you did a ton of research for your books,
yes,
right?
Yes, I did.
On lore and on cryptids.
Right.
And that's really interspersed within the book. And that's what I thought was so cool with it, because I'm hearing about all these cryptids and creatures that I knew nothing about ever. And at first, I literally thought you made them up.
No, that's a real thing.
And I thought, wow, you have a really active imagination.
You watch too much Star Trek, man.
I love it. But no, you did so much research on it, and there's so much that goes into it, and I love it.
Thank you.
And I can't wait until some wonderful studio out there picks it up and makes a show, because Supernatural went off the air.
Yeah, it's time to replace them. Not replace them, but
you can't replace them.
You cannot. I'm a huge fan of that show. I would not want to replace them.
Team Dean. So, but I think your genre is something super, super special.
Because we delve a little more into the sci-fi. Actually, yeah, that's part of the journey of John Lantry and Emily Grayley. In the tradition of the T.O.L. within the universe of this book, in this, they have to have 3 warriors to a team, 3 fighters, 3 protectors, and he finds them he finds his third in the weirdest place at work. But this guy's a weirdo. His name's Jake Walls. He's also a detective, but he's a transfer from Detroit. And he speaks really weird, and everyone attributes it to a head injury. But he's almost robotic in the way he speaks. I'm kind of emulating that a little bit. Robotic in the way he speaks. He speaks almost in perfect grammar, and he does not use contractions. Kind of like Data from Star Trek. So he's just a weird guy, but he's almost Holmesian in his detective capabilities. So he says, "Oh, you see that blood spider there? Look how the drops run down." And he'll just bang together a case like that. He's got it solved before the CSI guys do. So one case they go on together ends up being a demon case where there's a creature, a dark force lurking in a basement. Well, being this studious individual, Jake dispels this demon with some old writing from the Druidic era. And he dispels it like that. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to get rid of that. Well, it turns out he just did internet research, really, because he knew what he was getting into. That he's like, oh, listen, here's what's happening. She thinks it's demons. It clicks in his head. Okay, I got to research everything demons. And he does it. It works, and that's when John Lantry finds his third. With his team complete, they go on one or two more adventures before Jake faces tragedy.
Don't ruin it.
And then...
Don't you dare ruin it, because I'm hanging by a thread for book 3. I'm going to keep the pressure on him, people. Okay? Yeah. He's going to get a daily email.
Is it done yet? Is it done yet?
He already knows how you feel. The book's really, really awesome, you guys. If you want to pick it up, please. Like I said, it's on Amazon. I'll put the link in the bio. But it really is fun. And when I read it, there was a little bit of my heart that thought of you, me, and Henry when we were doing Paranormal Investigating.
That's kind of what the idea of the
Thanks
3
for
came
making me an awesome model. Love that. But there was a little bit of that after our own hearts in there.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, their adventures are so much fun. And just so you guys understand, I don't give false compliments. If I don't like something, I just won't talk about it. I'm not mean, but, you know, I'm not going to lie to anyone, especially someone that I love dearly as Tim, right? Aww. And if it was terrible, I'm going to be like, hey, bud. But I really do love this book. It took me on quite an adventure. I love to read, so for me, you know, obviously it was, I think I read book 1 in a day and a half, and you were astonished.
Yeah, I am astonished. And that's not exactly a short book.
It's not. But I got really into it, and I got my quiet space, and so I read it. Book 2, you know, I was nagging at you for that, like, immediately. You're like, oh, my God, I just finished book 1. So, if you can, get a copy, and I hope you guys enjoy. And thank you so much for being with us today.
JJ, it was an absolute pleasure. It was great. I love you too.
No. Thank you to all of you out there for listening. Be safe, be well, and be kind to each other.
Absolutely.